May Haiti exchange, Haiti exchange.
Hey everybody, we are here with Fran Juste and Peterson Exil, who are medical professionals who have just come back from Haiti. They have just come back helping people in Haiti who have been greatly affected by this earthquake. Hi Fran, how are you?
Hi, how are you, Pascal?
Last time we saw each other was under much better circumstances.
Absolutely.
And you just got back from Haiti not too long ago.
That's correct.
Tell us, first of all, what's your specialty?
Sure. I'm a critical care nurse. I've been a nurse now for 15 years. And I felt the need to go immediately to Haiti to help my people. And I was able to go with a group of medical professionals, about maybe 50, 60 of us, who went into Haiti the Saturday after the quake.
And Peterson, I take it you were with that same group?
That's correct. I went as a physician assistant, and what I brought with me was my experience in vascular surgery.
So what did you guys see? Ça nous était ouais, le nous rive en Haïti.
You know, what I kept telling everyone is really what we've been seeing on television is nothing compared to what we've actually seen live. The lens, the camera was way too small to capture the magnitude of what was happening. As soon as we got to Haiti at the airport, you can feel this void. You can feel that it was not the same.
Because usually when you travel to Haiti, there's a sense of joy that you get as you are approaching the landing site.
Right.
And you can't wait to get off because you know you're going to see friends and family.
Exactly.
You're excited. But this time it was different.
Now, I understand that when you did get to the airport, you were there for a while. You felt that things weren't organized?
And nobody cared to, you know, come to us and say, how can I help? What do you need?
We were just hanging out, waiting, and time kept just ticking and ticking. And it was about 4 hours that we actually waited at the
I'm sure
airport.
people died during that time. People who could have been saved in those 4 hours. I'm sure, you know, somebody lost their life that could have been saved. You can imagine how chaotic it was arriving in a so-called hospital, and you had as many patients on the ground of the hospital as you had inside of the hospital. And all you saw was pain and
suffering. People screaming, wanted someone to help them. Kids, women, elderly, children, everyone together. The surgeries was going on around the clock. And you have to kind of like picture this, right? Because you have enough infrastructure where you don't have electricity. You're dealing with people in pain. You're dealing with people that didn't even have time to grieve. You're dealing with people who actually lost their family members, their house, their belongings. But yet they're in the hospital, and yet they are at our mercy to help them. So at that time, what I wanted to do is just to go back to basic nursing care. Making sure that my patients were clean, making sure that they were pain-free, and making sure they got their dose of antibiotics. And I remember taking in my bag for me a powder, because I was like, I don't know when I'm gonna take a shower again, you know, so I could just free. And I just used that powder, and I just cleaned all my patients.
Wow.
And I remember that night specifically because that night, as I was with patients, and I said, you know what, guys, I don't understand. Come see, this is what I said, and I'm gonna say in Creole because I said, "Ma comprend nous." Comme si m'la, comme si personne va chanter, personne va en avant. Si vous nous chantez, si vous nous dites bagarre, comme si one by one they started singing and they started praying, and after a while, everybody fell asleep. And this was the first time that I think they probably got some rest since the incident.
Now, you guys actually went, now we know that with this particular earthquake, there's been, oh geez, just so many aftershocks. And I think you guys were in the huge one that was on the following Wednesday morning, the 6.1 aftershock.
Right.
What happened then? I know it was early in the morning.
Chaos.
It was early in the morning, and it woke me up from sleep. And I felt, you know, it was a very weird kind of noise, as if you were, you know, like, it shook you.
Right.
And I jumped up, and of course you could hear people screaming in the background, because anytime the earth shakes now in Port-au-Prince, people will start screaming. And it happened actually in the hospital. We had a few aftershocks.
Yes.
Shocks where even patients who had one limb dropped themselves to the floor, and they were begging you to take them outside because they didn't want to die. You know.
Patients were like ripping the IVs. Patients were like going. You know, those who could start walking started walking out. Those who couldn't walk were just like crawling on the floor because they did not trust the hospital. They did not want to try. They just wanted, like, we're not gonna stay inside the building.
Now, what about some patients that you will just always remember?
I will remember this one particular guy. He was a young guy in his 20s, I believe. He had a few people by his bedsides. I don't know who they were. There was a lady, there was a little girl, and there were a couple of guys who were there. Well, I went to see another patient in the same room, and I turned my head and I saw a few people were just standing next to him. And at one point, someone was doing some chest compression. So they were basically doing chest compression, but you couldn't secure his airway. You couldn't do anything. So we pretty much watched this guy die. And I hate to tell you that they pulled the cover over his head, even as I was feeling his femoral pulse.
Wow.
He still had a pulse. And they pulled the sheets over his head. And they said, it's futile to do anything. And I was looking at this woman standing by the bedside who started crying. And when I saw her outside the hospital, he was asking me, Doc, lale, Doc, lale. And I couldn't lie to her. I had to tell her the truth. Yes, he was gone. And the little girl who was with her was just screaming, Mama, libale, because she was trying to comfort her mother. And she didn't want to see her mother sad.
How about you, friend?
22-year-old boy who came in, transferred from the hospital. He has family member with him. He was awake. He was alert. He spoke to me. We tried to, you know, he had a crush injury. There was a lack of oxygen in the hospital. So what we had to do is we had 3 patients that were sharing the oxygen tank. And he had the oxygen. Il prenait moi. Il dit pas que t'es mourir, non? J'ai 22 ans. Il dit pas que t'es mourir. Comme t'as fait que t'es mourir. J'ai 22 ans. Unfortunately, that night, that's the next morning, that's when they had the aftershock. Nous pas de prendre tout oxygène non parce que c'était un gros bon oxygène. He went outside without the oxygen and he died.
Wow.
We already said to each other, we're going back. We're going back. That's a given. We're going back in maybe 2 months, 3 months, whatever, but we will be back.
Fran Peterson, merci beaucoup.
Well, thank you for having us.
Merci, Pascal.